my YouTube friends. I have 3 new plugins for OBS to show you today that can help you put on a better live show. I mean, that's what it's really all about, right? These 3 plugins are simple ways to add visual flair to your live streams easy and fast. And they're totally free. So you know what? Let's get to it! Likes and comments are super easy things that you can do to help push this video to a wider audience. So take a second down below and let me know how I'm doing. And while you're there, if you're not, please subscribe. It really does help me continue to make content that helps you. So thanks. The first one is so simple, yet it can be used to add visual flair to any scene. It's called the Gradient Source plugin. To install the Gradient Source is really simple. Check the link in the description if you want to download it for yourself. Here is the web page. So we're just going to go up here to the top left where it says download. We're going to select the appropriate one for us. Now, if you're gonna do the Windows one, you may as well do the installer. It's just the easiest way to do it. There is also one for Linux and one for Mac OS as well. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Windows installer. And once it's downloaded, I can just right click on it and extract. Then I can go into that folder and just double click the installer. Brings us up to this Windows protected. I'm just gonna go up here and click more info and then run anyway. Then it brings up our install. Just make sure that this is actually your OBS directory. And if it is not, go ahead and browse to it. It's going to be the OBS-Studio directory, and more than likely it's going to be in your program files folder on your C. And then all you have to do is click next through all this and it's ready to go. Now just make sure that for any of these plugins that you do decide to install, go ahead and restart OBS before you go to play with them, or they may not show up. So let's actually add a gradient source. You just click the plus. And we have color source, but we also have gradient now. So we're gonna go ahead and add that. And as you can see, this is the menu that comes up. I'm gonna make this a little smaller, make this a little bigger. It gives you the height and width and the rotation that you want your gradient at, which is awesome. You can set it up for sRGB if you want. And how many steps of gradient, pretty cool. So that you can add a whole bunch of different gradient sources if you like. We're just gonna go with one, and we will go from this yellow color here, which is kind of normal for my channel. And we will end up with this blue color, which is kind of normal for my channel as well. So there we've got a gradient. You can set the midpoint, move it around, or the opacity of each thing, which is kind of nice. And then of course these are other colors if you decided you wanted to add them. We don't actually have any in there, so that would be if you added more steps. So there we go. That means we could add another color. We could add like a red if we wanted to over here, and you can select your midpoint, change it up so you get the full gradient. I personally like just the single gradient, but it's nice to know that you can do more if you like. And that's pretty much it. So now we've got a gradient source, which I really, really love. I'm gonna show you some pretty simple stuff that you can do with this, but if you're creative, man, you could do all kinds of really cool stuff. So let's just add a camera, and we will add our cam link. There we go. And I just want to add an audio device to our cam link just to make sure we're getting the proper audio. So that's before our gradient, but we can move it below. And what we can do is we can go in here into properties on our gradient, and we can set our opacity way down here on both of these, so that it just adds a color effect to our camera. Now, obviously that's probably too high. You may want to add a lot less, and there are other ways that you can do this. But this is just if you wanted to use it as, you know, kind of an overlay to give your camera a little bit of a color effect to it. Just one simple way to do this. Another thing, personally, I like to use gradients a lot, or I like to use the color source a lot. I've shown you all kinds of things that you can do with the color source. And the gradient just adds all kinds of other possibilities. So let's go ahead and turn the opacity all the way up. And then I'd show you what I normally would use something like this for. We'll go ahead and move that below. And normally you would use your camera somewhere on your screen, but in a smaller way. Of course, we just chose the wrong source. That's fine. Normally, you'd put your camera down here in a much smaller way. And what I would do is use the gradient as a little bit of a background for that camera. And you can, of course, crop all these sources as well. So I'd just take this edge over here and hold down my Alt key, crop this up a little bit so it all looks right. And there we go. So now I've integrated my colors right into my stream really easily. This gradient tool is absolutely awesome. And you know, you don't have to keep it just the standard. We can rotate it so we've got it like this, whatever your heart desires. And there we go. So now we've got the blue gradient from the top to the yellow on the bottom. This is one way to do it. You can use it as a camera filter to give you a gradient backdrop kind of thing. You could use it if you're using a green screen to give you a gradient backdrop. So really, really cool, extremely simple plugin. It just adds more options. And I always like more options. The second plugin makes it easy to add motion that's controlled by an audio source to any visual asset, video, camera, or an image. And it's really easy to use. Links are in the description to install this. It is really, really easy. So we're gonna go up here to the top right and click on the download. And we're going to select the Windows zip file. There's also a zip file for Mac OS and Linux. Once that file is downloaded, we're going to go ahead into our downloads, right click on it and extract it. Then we'll go into our extracted folder and you're going to have a data and OBS plugins folder. Just select those and copy them. Then we need to go and find our OBS-Studio directory. More than likely, yours is going to be in C program files. And once you find that, you're going to actually see you have a data and an OBS plugins folder right in here. If you just right click on the OBS-Studio folder and paste, it will paste in the stuff that you just copied. And if you do not already have this installed, it won't give you any error messages. It will just copy it in there and you are good to go. So now we have scale to sound installed properly. This next one I'm going to show you is a really cool, fun trick. It's really easy to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load in a music file. So we're going to click the plus. I'm going to go to media source and just browse to a media source here, and it's just a song. I'm gonna go ahead and loop that song and click OK. And you can see the music is playing right there. So all I have to do is I'm gonna take my video capture device, I'm gonna shrink it down here a little bit, put it right there. Then I'm gonna right click on my video capture device, and you can do this with any source. It could be a picture or whatever you want. And we're gonna go to filters. We're gonna click the plus on effect filters and we're going to go to scale to sound. Click OK. Now all we have to do is select the audio source. In this case, it's media source. It's actually the audio that's playing our little song. We can add the audio threshold. So if we don't want it to play except for in really loud parts or whatever, we can add that in here, or we can have it just so that's a higher threshold. You can move it down or up, however you want it. I like it to kind of beat back and forth, so that's cool. Your audio ceiling, which will adjust what volumes it's going to kind of come on in, as you can see right there. We're going to just leave that all the way up. We've got our minimum size, which we can shrink down like this. We'll get a lot more motion out of it. The maximum size, needless to say, we can shrink that down as well. So this controls how much movement you're actually going to get from it. And just to make this easier to visualize, let's go ahead and select this audio source. So you can see when I don't talk, it doesn't move. Now it's going totally off my voice. So if we adjust the minimum size up a little bit, we can just get a little bit of a kind of a bump. If we adjust it down, well, it kind of goes crazy. So this could be as annoying as you want it to be, or as subtle as you want it to be. You can do inverse scaling. We can smooth it out so it's not quite as bumpy. It kind of slows it down a little bit. That way, if you turn down the minimum size, you kind of get a gradual thing. You can have it scale to width or height. So we can have it just so it's doing only the height. So it'll just go up and down for the height, or we can have it so it'll only bump with the width like that. Pretty cool. And you can have the positional alignment. So if you wanted it aligned to the left, there we go. So now it's gonna always bump from that side. It's pretty cool. There's so much that you can do with this. You can set it up to any video source or an image or any kind of visual source. You can set it up to, and any audio source you can easily set it up to. And there's so many cool little features, and it's so easy to set up, and it can just add just a little bit of motion to your live stream. You can make it really subtle, or you can make it really bouncy and use it for any source that you want. I think it's kind of cool and a lot of fun to play around with. So check it out. The last plugin I want to show you is so cool. You can create amazing effects with your camera and easily control it with very simple hotkeys. It's called the Recursion Effect plugin. The link is in the description to install this. It's going to bring you to this page right here, and up in the top right hand corner we're just going to click downloads. There are 4 different types of downloads in here. We've got Mac OS and Linux. And there are 2 for Windows. One is the installer and one is just a Windows zip. It's always easier to select the installer, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to select the Windows installer, download it. Once it's downloaded, we're going to go to our download page, right click on it and extract it. And once it's extracted, we can go into the folder and just click on the executable. And we're going to go to more info and run anyway. And then all we need to do is verify that that is the location for our OBS. Yours is probably going to be in C, Program Files, OBS-Studio. And as long as it's the right folder, just go ahead and click OK. And then you just need to next through the install and then click Finish when you're done. And we now have the recursion effect installed on our computer and ready to use in OBS. The Recursion Effect plugin is really awesome. As you can see, I am using a green screen. You can use a virtual green screen. I have lots of videos on how to do that. You can actually check down in the description and we'll show you all the different videos I have for different ways to do the virtual green screen. But there is no substitute for a real green screen, so that's what I'm gonna use here. It's really easy to actually chroma key out your green screen. So you just go into filters and click the plus. Go to chroma key, boom. You can mess around with the settings if you want. For these purposes, I'm not gonna. And then all you have to do is add the recursion filter. So just click the plus, and I'm gonna go to the recursion effect right here. Click OK, and it doesn't look like it really does much on the default settings. But it's really simple to play around with these settings and make it do a little more. So we'll add 1 to the X offset. As you can see, creates a little bit of a thing that's going to move off that way. If I move my hands around, you could see that that makes the recursion happen as well. And a lot of this is because I'm on, you know, kind of a really tight camera. We can add a little bit of a delay to our recursion, maybe 5 milliseconds, and that will make it kind of a little bigger slices that it takes. And you can see it's all moving off the screen that way. And we can mess around with how we want it to go off the screen. And negative numbers work too. So we can go with a -5 here, and then it'll kind of move up and off the screen that way, which is really neat. We still get all the same effects when we move it, it's just the direction that it's moving. So let's try a -1 here. Well, let's stick with the -5. That'll work. The scale is how much slightly bigger or smaller it is than your actual hand or face or body. If we click inverse, it will put it all in front of us, which is pretty cool. And you'll see how that works in a second a little better. Let's add some rotation to this, because that really adds something. So let's add a rotation of, let's say 5. So now you can see it rotating off the screen. Now it's not quite as effective if we don't mess around with our offset and all that stuff, and you're gonna have to play around with this to get what you want. But this looks really cool when you inverse it, because it puts the actual inverse in front of your camera, which is really, really cool. So if we adjust some of these filters, you can see it'll change the effect a little bit where it goes. Maybe we want a -6 or a +6 on here. If we go up to something like a 10 or 15, it changes all of the stuff, the way that it works. So let's go with like a 50 here, and you'll see how that changes it. And then we would need to do a little bit of a negative offset here. On a larger camera area, this is gonna look totally different. But if we go that route, we can actually see we get this kaleidoscope rotisserie effect. If we go -50, let's try -30, and that kind of puts it off the screen, so you can't really see it. So this is one of those ones where you're really gonna have to mess around with the actual effects so that you get what you're actually looking for. And we could turn down this offset quite a bit here. Let's go with 15, and that'll change everything up as well. So we'll go with 15 here, and there you go. Now you can kind of see how the effects work. One is just the way that the direction that it's going, and rotation affects all of this. So if I put the rotation back to 0, you can see that we have us going back off this way. So it's pretty cool. And I love the fact that if you put inverse, you know, you just kind of see it all come in front of you. There's so many cool things that you can do with this. You can easily turn it off and on with hotkeys as well. And the hotkeys are going to function just like this little eyeball here. So if you turn it on and off, it turns on and off. So you can just easily click a hotkey to turn it off or on. In settings, you go to hotkeys and you just find your recursion here. Right here, enable incursion effect. So if I just set up a hotkey to turn it on and off, then I can just click that key, turns it on, click another key, turns it off. Makes it really simple to have fun on your live stream, especially if you use a green screen. This is one of those ones. Why not just add it, play around with the settings? You're definitely gonna find some weird kaleidoscope effects that you like that can really make your audience laugh and add just a little more entertainment to your live stream. And by the way, it's totally free, so you can't go wrong there. If you wanna see how to use any stream asset on top of any scene like the professional broadcasters use, you should check this video out. Big thanks to the sponsors that support this channel. You can find their links in the description below under the heading sponsors. I couldn't possibly do this without them or you, so thanks. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks that can help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.